early. Just trying to make this happen. Yeah, Facebook Live. So I'm sitting in the fabulous conference room, actually a different conference room than the one I usually sit in. Hey, Mary Beth. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, and I'm doing my chaplain-y thing. And I've got my cards here. And I also have, let's see, can I do this? Can I move the camera? Can I switch the camera around? I think I can. Let's see. Oh, yeah, at the risk of making everyone dizzy. So, I'm at work. I brought a few trinkets. This is my little chick, which is precious to me because of the wild unknown. That was something I gave to my mother once, years ago, just as a little goof. And then my tingshaws, and this is a kind of a female archetype, sort of vaginal. Hey, Happy New Year to you. Yeah, I'm hoping it's quiet tonight too. And an amethyst that actually a mindfulness student gave me years ago, named Zara. She's a lovely woman. And my wild unknown spirit cloth, which is what I traditionally use. And then I'm using images from the Dodal as a way of kind of anchoring the quincunx, the 5-pointed or 5, what do I want to say, punctuated cross of the mandala. So a quincunx is a figure that has a point in the middle and then 4 points on either side. Carl Jung saw it as kind of the fundamental structure of the mandala, the fundamental depiction of the self. And it is what's on the world card. So here in the Dodal, we see the movement of the hero's journey from the Fool to the world. And actually, astonishingly, today when I did my draw for the last day in Drop'em 78, which was the world, my calibration card was the Fool. So, sometimes, in fact, often, tarot is pretty extraordinary in its accuracy. Anyway, so, let's see. I'm just shuffling. I'm going to be shuffling my cards. Getting ready for this Wheel of Life spread. The thing about the Wheel of Life that's different from, any other year ahead spread. Hi, Vicki. Good to see you. The thing about the Wheel of Life that's different from any, how do I want to say, any sort of regular year ahead spread is the way in which it isn't trying for a predictive relationship to the year to come, but is really depicting all the ways in which each moment our life is in motion, is moving forward. So I do think of my Wheel of Life as connecting to the 12 months of the year, and then the hub card at the center, which is the last card that we draw. But it's not like, oh, this is my January card exactly, right? There's a way in which, by thinking of this as the Wheel of Life, which is an image from Buddhism, by thinking of this as the Wheel of Life, we're looking at the ways in which at every moment my life is recreating itself. At every moment I'm potentially recreating old patterns. I'm potentially sort of stuck in old karma, in that kind of 15th trump card, that devil sort of, just in chain to our old patterns, or I'm recognizing those patterns. I'm becoming mindful of the ways in which I habitually react in the habitually same ways again and again and again. And so that mindfulness can actually help me find freedom in each moment. So the Wheel of Life spread becomes a way to, as the months pass, as the seasons turn, as the year turns, it can be a way for me to keep reflecting on the rhythms of my life and to see the ways in which there's actually freedom in the midst of what can seem like repetition. So, welcome, friends. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me okay. I'm on my iPad. This is like, I'm like aware that, there's like environmental service staff, they're like cleaning these offices. So it's kind of a funky place to be doing this. But can you hear me okay? I'm hoping that you can. Audio is great, good. So how's everyone doing? How is your evening gone? How is the new year unfolding for you? And it's, depending on where you are, we're a few minutes from midnight or a few hours from midnight, or midnight has already come and gone. How is everyone? Me, I feel like this has been a very intense day at the hospital. A lot's been packed into a short period. But a lot of beautiful encounters with patients and families and staff. So as I'm going into my Wheel of Life spread for 2023, I'm recalling the ways in which justice was my hub card for 2022. Vicky's saying, I'm doing well, I'm home with my dogs and my cat, and Mary Beth is having a quiet time for reflection. Mary Beth is in LA, so like me, the ball doesn't drop for another 3 hours. So my hub card for 2022 was justice, and justice in the wild unknown really emphasizes, I think, the imagery for it really emphasizes the sense of the kind of Taoist blending of yin and yang that happens in a world where we see things as either or. I probably won't be able to find this card now. I might have thought about putting things in order, but I didn't, alas. And I've been thinking about, this has been really a year of decision making for me with my career. And as some of you already know, I left. I gave notice. I'm still at the hospital, and I'll, probably still be working here part-time come February if they have the ability to give me a part-time position or per diem position. But I decided, here's justice. This was my hub card for 2022. I decided, I'm ready. And it's been a year of discernment. So, justice, I have come to think of as a card that is about, it's about intentionality and the ways in which our heart, our intention, is continually being weighed against our actions. And the emphasis in the wild unknown imagery really is, that we can't separate out, I choose a path, but I can't just negate what I have chosen, just negate what I haven't chosen, right? So I'm kind of left in a world where I need to recognize that my decisions have consequences and I can't have it all. That's been my central card for the year, for 2022, is this card that's about intentionality and choice, and recognizing that our choices have consequences, and seeing the ways in which our tendency, I think, to imagine that we could sort of make a choice that just obliterates the past and we're going forward, that's not how choice works. Choice is like tattooing, like tattooing. Our bodies, our lives, our hearts, our minds are imprinted by our decision. So happy New Year to Jill on the East Coast. Yeah, it's midnight. Well, not here. Okay, I'm going to start pulling cards. I've been shuffling all this while. My Lonely Dreamer deck, the second edition, which I think I prefer to the first edition, but only slightly. I think there's 6 cards that are different, plus the oracle cards. I could have that wrong. That number could be wrong, but I like the choices, and I like the ways in which this edition was brightened up. Okay, so my intention as I'm pulling these cards is simply to find, to allow myself to be open to how my life is turning. And as I was saying before we got started, the thing about the Wheel of Life is it really is an opportunity to kind of explore, not predictively, what's going to happen in March, what kind of month is March going to be, but to explore that kind of full sense of the movement of our lives. And so that can play out on a big scale, over 12 months, but it's also that movement is here every step of the way. And the more we become mindful to the movement of our life, the more likely we are to be able to experience freedom. Okay. One more shuffle, and then I'm going to cut the deck. And my intention, too, in this is that the cards that I pull will be resonant for those of you watching as well. Okay, so I'm going to start with the card that represents January, but again, the Wheel of Life looks at what can be laid out in a pattern of a year, but is also the movement and rhythm of each moment of our life, here and now, of this very moment. So, January. And I don't do reversals here. The High Priestess. Okay. Yeah, I love this depiction of the High Priestess, where the book itself is illuminating her face, and that sense that the veil is not so much hiding something, but is actually the thing that allows us. It's not that the veil is hiding revelation. The word revelation really means to unveil. So we think, okay, the veil is what's hiding the truth. In this depiction, the veil is actually sort of light itself. It's what lets us see the light, right? The luminosity is within the veil, is made visible by the veil. The High Priestess. So starting out this first moment, a moment of being in the mystery, of being in that illumination which comes through intuition, is not what we can grasp and pin down, but actually opening ourselves up to what can't be pinned down. That is a nice place to begin the year, to begin this movement, to begin this turning of the wheel. And now, February. 3 of Cups. Oh, community, celebration. That sense of the dance. And that way in which coming together in community also enables this kind of filling ourselves up with this kind of vulnerability. I love when I see Redon's nudes, I always think of that kind of vulnerability, but there's always the sense of the artist model here. His nudes always remind you of an artist working with a model, who's posing. And it's sort of that vulnerability that's at the basis of art. So that's February. And I think what I'm doing is I'm kind of cutting the deck between each draw of a card. So this is my third card, March. My soul card, the Emperor. Yeah. That sense of, stability, structure, control, right? And for many of us, the Emperor is a shadowy card. When I was thinking about this card in contrast to the Empress in this deck, she's so just so full of life and vitality, and he's got his little hand. His little hand is trying to control the whole globe. So there is something a little creepy about this little fellow, which reminds me of the ways in which, I have a lot of fourness in me, a lot of emperorness in me. Again, it's my soul card, from Mary Greer's designation of that term. Happy New Year, Marie Jose, Happy New Year. So I have a lot of fourness in me, and I can be kind of like, that can feel like a liability, but just let me embrace that little guy, that little guy who wants to control the world. And just that sense of the importance of stability, structure, building. It's actually a great strength of mine, is my emperor side. It's a part of me that I'm super aware of. And it gets me into trouble because I try to control everything. April. I'm pulling everything upside down here. The Ten of Cups. Oh, that's such a sweet depiction of this card. That sense of the wholeness of, that we associate with family, right? With home, with, in the traditional Waite-Smith imagery for this card, that rainbow, the reminder of the covenant, the divine covenant, God saying, okay, I'm not going to try to smite you guys anymore. He shows the rainbow to Noah. The rains have ended. Travails have ended. It's just this completion, right? Of the heart, of the soul, of meaning, of poetry, of resonance, of everything that the cups are about. Fullness. Okay, that was April. And now for May. I'm getting some lovely cards here. This always makes me nervous when I have such sweet cards, because then I think, oh no, how am I going to fuck it up? Temperance. I particularly love this depiction of temperance. This is an image of Pandora before she's opened the box that lets out all manner of havoc on the world. And so Melissa Weatherspoon's comment on this card, she talks about, temperance as balance, and she says, balancing the before and the after, which was interesting to think of a temporal dimension. For me, temperance is the card of practice. It's like, how do we find balance in our lives? Balance is not like the Goldilocks medium point, middle point between opposites, because whenever we try to I don't know, it's like whenever we try to be good and kind of constrain our habits in a certain way, we just create new structures. The story I always remember is, there was a year, now quite a while ago actually, where I was like, I'm not going to buy anything new for a year. I want to stop being such a consumer. So I was like, nothing new. I can buy food, I can buy underwear, I can buy that new, but I'm not going to be a consumer. If I need something, I'll find it, on Craigslist or at the thrift store. Guess what became my favorite pastime? It was going to Goodwill. So, you can think that temperance is about, finding the golden mean between opposites, but that just creates a new, you might be very abstemious and very, very good, but you've just now constrained your options, and you can live an immoderate life even within narrower bounds. So temperance isn't about like being Goldilocks and finding the middle between opposites. Temperance is about there's this and there's that. It's a lot like justice. It's about weighing the alternatives and being willing to hold in that uncertainty. It's Pandora holding the box. Okay. Temperance was January, February, March, April, May. So now, June, my birth month. The Fool. Yeah, okay. So what is it to be right on the open edge of things, to allow ourselves to begin, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to allow ourselves to be caught with our pants down, you know, to not have the answers. This is like the alternative to the emperor, right? I mean, my little guy who wants to control the world. Yeah, okay. Just just follow the floating head. Allow yourself to not be so freaking grounded in the negative sense. Like, allow yourself to be floating, to not have solid ground under your feet. It's incredibly uncomfortable. But in truth, none of us have solid ground under our feet, even when we think we have solid ground under our feet, right? Okay, July. Historically, July is my Tower month. Yeah, so some anxiety. This is the 9 of Swords. But as I was writing in the Drop Them 78 challenge, like, you know, she looks like a ninja to me. And, you know, that ability to, like, kind of be in our thoughts and to live with the power. I mean, if you are a person who... thinking here again, my hub card for the year, which was Justice in The Wild Unknown, which now I've tucked that card away and I won't be able to find it. But, you know, if you're the sort of person who's kind of always seeing the ways in which the world could be this or that, right? And you're like me, you know, you're trying to make sense of everything all the fucking time, trying to make sense, trying to sort out all the possibilities, trying to look down every path. Not that I'm so careful, because I'm not. I'm really reckless. I throw myself into things really quickly, but that doesn't stop me from trying to think everything through. Here's justice. If you're that kind of person where your mind is filled with, it could be this, it could be that, it could be that, it could be this, where you're continually weighing, where you're intuiting and tuning into your own intentions all the time and trying to imagine yourself in action. If you're that kind of person, yeah, that's pretty 9 of Swordsy. But that's also a superpower, right? Can the ways in which our mind works within us, can that source of what can feel like anxiety or nightmare, that activity of our mind, of our busy mind, how do we redeem that as the superpower that it is? I mean, the mind... Nothing bad about the mind. It is kind of a ninja thing to have a mind that can cut, even if it's cutting ourselves. Okay, I hope this is making sense. I'm just talking at an iPad with your names popping up on the screen, but I wish I were with you guys. I wish we were all in the same, well, we're in the same virtual place, right? So this is August. I'm getting some wonderful cards here. You know, it's so delicious to do the Wheel of Life when you've spent 78 days with a deck and you're like, oh, this one, the Hanged Man. Yeah. So, right, how does the 9 of Swords become not a liability but a superpower? How are we a ninja 9 of Swords, ninja nightmare anxiety card? And, you know, this comes back to what I was saying about temperance, our willingness, you know, what the poet Keats called negative capability, our willingness to be in uncertainty. Not uncertainty because I can't see, that's another kind of uncertainty, but an uncertainty that comes from, okay, there are all these things that I think I understand, but I'm not going to try to decide anything yet. I'm just going to let my mind do its mind thing, my body do its body thing, my heart do its heart thing. I'm just going to hang here. One golden link at a time. Okay, that was August, the Hanged Man. And now, August, what comes out? September. Now, well, yeah, I might be going back to school to get a degree in counseling. I might not, I might, we'll see. I applied. So that, if I am, September would be the month that begins. Ace of Cups. This makes me happy. The bird is in the cup. The bird looks like it even has a worm in its mouth. Well, whatever September brings, whatever this moment in the wheel brings, because remember the wheel, we can lay it out on the year, but it's really the movement of our heart right here and now, right? So from the Hanged Man to this fullness of abundance, of soul, of love, of the resonance of meaning, of archetype, of imagination. I always do think about the cups as the card of imagination, that sense of our imagination as our heart being full. And here we are with October, King of Swords. I didn't used to like this King of Swords depiction, but I really love it. The butterflies coming up from his hands, or the stars, I'm sorry. The stars in his hands, the butterflies floating over his head, the sense of light. And this haunting quality, this ethereal quality of this king. Okay, so whatever the King of Swords is, air of air, the quality of the mind at its most spacey, at its fullest, at its most expansive. That's October, and now November. Yeah, it does look like starting a new course, I know. Mary Beth, I know. I like that September looks like that. And, air of air, my mind is full. And then November. Yeah, the Seven of Swords, which is actually my charm cast for today was, you can't really see it probably, the Seven of Swords. This is a really interesting, this card has now come to me to mean something. I mean, there's the grasping of this angel. I mean, there is something like, I'm holding it. But I just think this card it's a card that means restraint for me. Historically, this is a card that's all about deception and theft, and invites us to see the ways in which there might be some deception that we're experiencing, but we might also be perpetrating it. But I actually really have been moved by the reading of the card as I have encountered it in The Wild Unknown, which has a depiction of a fox sitting on swords, lying on swords. And I think of it as kind of restraint, like, I can be, this is also another classic definition of the card. It's strategic. I don't have to always wear my heart on my sleeve. But I now have been thinking about the Seven of Swords as being about being willing to leave things behind. Like, you can't have it all. You can't. And this comes back to the lesson of justice, right? Our choices have consequences. We can't have it all. We are marked by our choices. We choose right, and left is the thing that we didn't the road not taken, and that marks us. That has made all the difference. Our choices define us. We can't have it all. We are going to be marked and shaped, tattooed by the choices that we make. That's November. And now, December. Okay, the Knight of Swords. So a lot of swords here, or it feels like. I've got two court swords and then two high level pips, the 7 and the 9. The Knight of Swords is in a lot of ways, it's a really shadowy card. I identify with I also identify with the Queen of Swords. I identify with the swords a lot. I don't like being the Knight of Swords because I think the Knight of Swords is always trying to, it always thinks that she has the answer. And it's a little bit of a little Miss Know-It-All, a little bit of a pain in the ass. But, you know, is courageous in her own way. There's something shadowy about this card. So again, you know, this Wheel of Life where it's not just predictive about the year ahead, right? That's one way to read it. It's not a wrong way to read it, but it's not the best way to use it. It's also like, okay, this is pointing to one of the things in my life movement, in my heart's movement, in my ongoing spiritual path, in my karma, one moment that I need to spend some time with. How am I like the Knight of Swords, and what's problematic about that? Okay, that's my wheel. Now my hub. Right, so my hub for this year was justice. What will be my hub for 2023? So I'm just formulating the intention that what I draw will be helpful and useful. Will help me grow. I'm feeling like I want to shuffle. I'm a little bit nervous, as I often get. And now I'm going to cut. Okay, 7 of Pentacles. I had this impulse to pull the bottom card of the deck, which sometimes happens to me. I'm just going to pull it because I'm being goofy. And it was the Hermit. So I'm going to have this be a kind of like in the margins card, but 7 of Pentacles, which right now to me is predominantly the card of patience, or the Buddhist virtue of Kshanti, a kind of forbearance and constancy, a willingness to be with this life moment by moment. And this is a pretty beautiful depiction of it. Okay, that's my wheel. It doesn't look so pretty because, you know, I'm not in my shrine room. I don't have all my beautiful candles, etc. But there it is, folks. 2023. Okay. We did it, folks. Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. And yeah, let's post our wheels when we each draw them. And yeah, have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening, if it's still evening, and if it's morning, welcome to 2023. Yeah, thank you so much for being with me, Vicki. Blessings and light to you too, Mary Beth. Take good care, all.